anything we do in the gym, we try to measure, right? We try to track so we know where the baseline is because it's really hard to create goals. It's hard to create a plan if you don't know where you're starting from. All right. Hello, everyone. Happy Monday to you all. I'm Matt. I don't know why I'm introducing myself. You all know who I am, probably by now. But we have Jaleesa and we have Tom. Tom's in his vehicle. Tom's he said he's gonna be a fly on the wall, but he's got a lot of insight to add on this too, I'm sure.
I'm trying to put my head in the right place so that the sun is
Son.
coming through. But if I just go like that, maybe I'll be okay.
Yeah, I have my spot all perfectly set up. Tom's in his car, Jaleesa's got the sun.
I don't know what to do here. This is fine. I'll put my
Today
head.
we're today we're talking about calories and tracking and macros and devices and all that fun stuff and who should be tracking, who should not be tracking. And again, we don't like to really speak in absolutes. When someone asks us the question about should they track calories, we'll usually say it depends because
Yeah.
we don't know the whole story.
Mhm.
But I'm going to let Jaleesa take this one, and me and Tom will give our little points in as we go.
Sure. Yeah, like you said, I think that is very dependent on who the person is. So depending on a couple of things, the person's goals, the person's knowledge on what they are consuming already, or if let's say they have tracked before, and on their relationship with food. So let's say it's a person who has never tracked before, has very little knowledge about, say, macronutrients or calorie density of certain foods or of any foods, and just has absolutely no idea how many calories they consume in a day. I think for that person, it can be really, really valuable as an education tool of just like knowing what you're putting in your body and what a calorie is. And if we can get an accurate estimation on how many calories a person should be eating, how that actually feels in a day. So I think for that kind of a person, it can be a super valuable educational tool or just something to help them learn and understand what they're putting in their body. One thing that is nice about, I'm shocked even myself that I'm saying this, but one thing that's really nice about MyFitnessPal is that it does do a macro breakdown for people now. So you can actually see, oh, am I eating like 10% protein and 90% carbs? That's 100, so there's no fats in there, but you know what I mean? Like, how is my macronutrient breakdown, and do I need to refocus on including more proteins, which is most people, or so it just does give us quite a good amount of knowledge of what we're actually putting in our bodies. So in that case, yes, I do think that counting calories for that instance and for that person is a really good thing. For the next person.
I
Oh
guess
yeah,
I should.
you
Yeah,
go.
that's okay. I should say also, maybe we shouldn't just assume that people know what MyFitnessPal or
Yeah.
tracking is. So tracking is a way, there's lots of different ways you can track, right? There's a hand method. There is MyFitnessPal. There's diet snaps, right, Jaleesa?
Yeah, that's more of just like a food
Accountability.
journaling kind of an app where you can
Yeah.
take a picture of your food and then journal about like how made you feel versus like kind of physically as well as emotionally. So that one doesn't track calories, but that one's really great for just accountability and tracking emotions.
Yeah. So basically the idea of all these apps is to track calories, like you mentioned, but also macronutrients. So those fats, those proteins, and those carbs. And I know MyFitnessPal, I'm sure there's other ones that do this too. I think even Garmin has one
Yep.
as well. But you can scan barcodes and then it gives you all the information, which is pretty cool. And like you said, Jaleesa, if someone they think they're eating healthy, it can kind of be this litmus test to say, oh, maybe I don't know how much refined carbohydrates or processed food I'm eating that is high in calories and low in nutrients type thing.
Yeah,
Continue.
absolutely. I think that so the next person that maybe, well, that commonly will walk into my office at least, is someone who maybe doesn't have a great relationship with food, or has maybe struggled with restriction or binge eating, or has done a lot of dieting. For that person, it's probably not the best course of action. It can become kind of an addictive thing, or something that can cause people to have feelings of guilt around their food, what they're consuming. And so for those people, we really try and stay away from tracking any results in a way of actually calories, or feeling the need to know the calorie count of the foods that we're eating, and focusing more on just the relationship with food and healing in that way, and finding other ways to achieve health as opposed to just meeting a calorie or macronutrient goal. So for those people, the people that I coach that maybe fall under that title, they will know that like my very favorite thing to say is good for you, not for me, which basically just means like it literally is good for some people, and it's okay that that's not good for us. So I would fall under that category. I'll never track my food because I don't need to, and I have struggled with that before. So for me, that is one of those things that I'll say, good for you, not for me. And that's a genuine, I think if you can learn to say that, that's a really genuine thing of like, yeah, it is good for some people, and that doesn't mean it has to be good for you. So those are the people I think that maybe should shy away from calorie counting and being that specific with what they're putting in their bodies, or always being their success determined by numbers. So that's what I think on that one. It's a pretty good track record.
Tom, type in the message box the points you want to make, and me and Jaleesa will take it home for you.
Yeah. I feel like what he was going to say, I heard time coming through, and it was about how time consuming calorie counting can be, or how like the thought of like, I know with some clients that I've had where I'm like, hey, I need you to just track for me for a week so we can actually see where you're at. Sometimes the response will be like, oh, as in like they know how that feels. And the thought of like tracking every single thing you put in your body, man, that's like a commitment. And it's rare that, I don't think it's a healthy thing to do long term, but on occasion it is just like we said, value in truly knowing what you're putting in your body, and education wise. That being said, it's only as accurate as the person entering it. So it can be tricky too, in that way of just like making sure you're entering your things accurately and knowing what certain things you should guess and what to put in. So that's a part of it too, of just making sure that we know that it's not like always perfect. It's very dependent on, are you weighing your food? Are you measuring your food? Are you sure that you're getting the right one in there? Those kinds of things too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's anything we do in the gym, we try to measure, right? We try to track so we know where the baseline is, because it's really hard to create goals. It's hard to create a plan if you don't know where you're starting from.
Yeah.
Right? If I've never worked out before and I want to become a faster runner, I'm not going to be on the same plan as someone who's been running for years, right? If I've never run before.
Yeah.
So we kind of have to find that baseline and get that education piece. And Tom did say that use as an education tool. It does a lot of extra time. And then, yeah, you nailed it, Jaleesa. You got exactly what Tom wanted to say.
Well, and I think the point too that I think he was making also is like, if you're an athlete with specific goals, then you have to have your nutrition dialed in. And if you don't have a clue if you're getting enough protein, yeah, you probably need to track in some way, whether that's MyFitnessPal, whether that's counting macros, or what that might look like. So I feel like in terms of if it's like an athletic goal, or if you're a professional athlete, it probably is valuable in just making sure you're getting enough fuel, and comparing that with how you're feeling in your workouts. Are you making progress? Are you gaining strength? Those things too. On days maybe that you notice that your protein is low, is your energy low? Could you not push as hard? Or if you're cutting out too many carbs, same thing. Maybe your energy is lacking. So I think, when you're an athlete or a coach experimenting, which we all do, I think tracking can be an interesting way of just like determining what's actually happening in our bodies and tying those pieces together.
Yeah, I guess that how I could kind of Tom's gone. I can kind of bring those all together is you athletes have to sacrifice things in their life, right? Like if you're a really competitive athlete, you're not working, you're just training, you're just eating. If you were working, it'd be really hard to do it all, right? If you had a
Mhm.
family, if you had kids, it'd be really hard to do it all. So
Yeah.
those that are wanting to track long term, you're going to be sacrificing something somewhere, right? With every task you're doing, you're sacrificing something else in the process of doing that. And honestly, some people would probably have to do that if they've let their health and fitness get to a point on that sickness, the wellness, sickness, fitness spectrum, right? If you're getting close to that sickness, you probably are going to have to sacrifice some things in life in order to create that hedge against sickness and get healthier and fitter.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
And I think like what you said, something about tracking long term, I do think, for some people that maybe is the right thing, but also planning breaks from tracking. Like I think it's really important to be able to just know your body well enough and eventually learn what your body needs and how it feels best that you don't need to track or don't feel that like nagging to always know exactly how many calories you're eating and all that kind of stuff. So if you know you're going to be tracking for a while, making sure that you do have planned breaks in there from it. 'Cause I think that's a part of still being able to tune into your own body cues and rely on your own energy and emotion versus what your phone tells you.
Yeah. I think in saying all this, it helps to get a coach.
Yep.
It really helps to get a coach to kind
Uh-huh.
of walk through all this. And maybe you are someone who needs to track, maybe you're not, but we've spent a lot of time and energy
Yeah.
in this, and we're here to help when you're ready.
Well, and I think also just knowing that there's more than one way to do it. Like I've coached enough long enough, and I have enough clients to know that one thing is not going to work for everybody. So I'd say like 50% of my clients just send me pictures of their food. And that can be in multiple different platforms. And some people send them to me every day, while others take them and we go through it together in our weekly chat, in our weekly meetings. And other people do track, and other people track nothing. And that's what's best for them. And so having a coach and having them tell you, like, let's try this and see how it goes, or telling you like, hey, you need to stop tracking, or hey, you need to start
Yeah.
tracking. It's so dependent on the person, their relationship, their goals, all those things. So yeah, keeping in mind too, what's right for somebody is still not right for you, and that's okay.
Yeah. And that's the idea of our gym, right? We want to focus on this holistic idea, like
Mhm.
the physical, the mental, the spiritual, the connection, the purpose, which means that we don't want to sacrifice too far in one direction. Like we're not going to sacrifice so much in the physical if we know we're helping someone really sacrifice all these other important areas of their life, right?
Mhm.
Like if they're so consumed by this thing to try to hit a certain weight and they're sacrificing their family, they're not playing with their kids, they're not connecting. I think that's when we kind of have to rein it in. But everyone's different, and you already
Yeah.
said that. So
Yep.
thanks for joining, team.
Yeah.
It's been a slice.